right, welcome. I'm Loving Life Podcast. I am here with Tim, but we have a special guest. His name's Jeff with Jolly Goat. But originally it wasn't that called, right?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, we just switched to that last year.
This is probably the most fascinating story we've had so far. That journey that you've taken, your logo, everything. We're going to dive into it. So what's up?
Okay, great. Not much, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks you guys for having me on. I've heard about your podcast. I'll talk to other people that have kind of been, and so I'm excited. I've been excited about coming on and talking with you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Well, what's crazy is I think we got to meet you 2 years ago.
I met Jeff at the Center Sphere. Actually, it was when you guys were meeting at the Longhorn Steakhouse in the back room, right? And that was the first experience with Center Sphere. Y'all were kind of going through some changes and stuff, and then you guys made that change to moving it to your office. I don't know if you guys are still there or not.
No, not there, but yeah, I remember that time.
Yeah.
And can we go back of what your garage company name was?
Yeah,
or do you want to hold that close
no, we
to
can.
you?
Yeah, it used to be Garage Door Solutions.
Right.
Was the name before, and then we revamped it and rebranded to Jolly Goat almost a year ago now. So,
but it's so fascinating how you actually got to it. It's amazing because you didn't just go, "Hey, Jolly Goat." You actually went and got some research done.
There's a lot. We had to dive into it. There's a lot that goes into it. The whole process from we launched July 16th of 2023 was when we went live with Jolly Goat Garage Doors. But that was about a 16 to 18 month process prior just to start even getting there. So it really
awesome.
Was deep. Yeah. So we started. We knew that. The way that we were scaling and growing, and we knew that we were going to be able to take this business and do bigger and better things. And we felt like that name, Garage Door Solutions, was just really bland and kind of blah, and it really didn't do much. And if we wanted to go to other markets, there's already Garage Door Solutions in these other markets, right? It was a very common name. So we started saying, okay, well, I need to kind of do a name change, and what does that look like? And because I had seen some other stuff on Facebook where companies had changed their name and changed their logo and looked really cool. Yeah. So I got a hold of them, hit them up, and say, hey, what's going on here? What did that process look like? And they said, well, we didn't actually do a name change. We rebranded. We rebranded our whole company.
I mean, that's a big task to put on. I know. I'm like kind of in my heart, part of me wants to, but reality is it's. I mean, that's a big change, big risk. I don't know if it's much as a risk, but it's. I mean, that's your identity that you're used to.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of risk there. I mean, you talk about, people use the term losing sleep at night. I lost a lot of sleep going through this whole process of, what if we change all this stuff and we rebrand and all of a sudden nobody likes it, right?
Right.
Because I had a pretty good customer base going at the time, and I thought, what if everybody just and they just move away from it, and we lose customers and we lose business, and then I lose my business and it's gone. And these are things that go through an entrepreneur's mind when you're going through a process like this. So, it was definitely scary, but once I found the right team that we put together to move forward with the process, I knew we were in good hands. Yeah. And I knew it was going to be a success. It was just a long time getting there. And we're still in it. We're still in the early stages of it. I
mean, the fact of the matter is it's so unique that it stays in your head. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I can't get it out of my head now, but it's so unique, and the theory behind the goat is so much more. I mean, you bring a goat to the show is freaking awesome.
And then I saw those energy drinks, the goat energy drinks for the first time.
Goat fuel.
Yeah. And I saw you kind of hop onto that too. So do you have an official partnership with Goat Fuel?
Absolutely not. No. One of our team members, she found that at a grocery store out where near she lives. So she grabbed a couple and brought them in. And I was like, oh, we got to have some of these. I gave her some cash. I said, just go get a few cases and let's bring them into the shop. So now we reward our team with them, so they get, different rewards and different games and stuff.
Goat advisors get Goat Fuel.
There you go.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Now, how long have you actually been in the business, though?
So in the garage door space, I actually got into back in about 95 or so, 1994, 95, something like that. So for our listeners, yes, I'm quite old at this point. But I was 16, 17 years old at that time
when you started
whenever I got into it. Yeah.
Did you already? You worked for somebody then, right?
I started to work for somebody right at that time. I was in a lot of trouble. I was a mess. I wasn't going to school or anything like that, and I was in and out of the juvenile court system and things, and I was actually crashing on my mom's couch. I had just gotten out of some trouble, and I was staying with her for a few days, and she had this guy that was remodeling her kitchen, or doing the floors in her kitchen, and he asked me that his helper didn't show up, so he asked me if I would help him move a refrigerator, and I ended up becoming his helper, and I worked with him doing some remodels for about 3 or 4 months, and he got kind of slow, just a one-man show, but he really took a shine to me, and I did to him. I didn't really have an adult male figure in my life that was a positive thing at the time, so he knew that to help kind of keep me off the street, so to speak. He asked some of his friends, and he had a friend named Johnny Hale who owned a company called Hale's Overhead Door Company.
Wow.
That he called him up and said, Johnny, he hadn't even talked to Johnny in a long time. And he said, man, I got this kid, could you use a helper? It just so happened that Johnny had just broke his hand like 3 weeks prior to that. And was like, actually, yes, I'm looking for a helper. So I went and sat in Johnny's passenger seat as his helper for about 2 years. And that's how I got into the garage door business. From there, it's the only thing I've ever done.
Sybil Hale?
It actually is, yeah, Sybil Hale. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know it was Johnny Hale. So
yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
And yes, and that's the industry has been amazing. I love every piece of it. I've been on the install side, the sales side, the management side, the manufacturing side. I mean, you name it, I've done it all.
Which gave you less sleep?
The entrepreneur. Yeah. When I started my own business, I was like, if I could just go back to the easy days, right? So,
but that's the part about being an owner is like you have that little something in you that it keeps you. Some people like their backs against the wall and then they succeed, or other people are like they can just do it.
Absolutely,
and I think that's awesome, man. To be that.
Yeah. So, and then full circle, you talk about the branding thing. Hale's Overhead Door. I've stayed friends with Johnny Hale all these years, and he's been talking over the past 3 years about retiring and moving on. So we ended up working out a deal and ended up buying him out last year.
That's
in
crazy.
April. So now the very first company I ever had the opportunity to work for. So we're allowing Johnny to be able to take the next steps in his life and retire and enjoy some time after he worked so hard for so long.
And gave you that break.
We acquired that business. Yeah.
Man, full circle.
Right. It's pretty. So
was he
cool
excited to be Jolly Goat?
So it's a great question because Hale's is still Hale's. So just like A&T Mechanical, right? Like it's been that for so long. And it's in a specific market, and for the listeners, it's south of Oklahoma City and kind of more southern Oklahoma. And there's a lot of rural areas. There's a lot of people out there that are just farmland, ranchers, farmers, all that stuff. And we felt like if we just came in and jolly goated Hale's all of a sudden, that it would probably get a negative vibe. So we decided to leave it Hale's for a couple of years. So when customers call up, we answer the phone, Hale's Overhead Door, their invoice says Hale's, but we're showing up in a Jolly Goat truck, and they're getting the Jolly Goat experience that Hale's never could offer them.
Yeah.
And then we'll slowly transition that, down. We've got marketing going on down there in that area, and billboards and stuff that all say Hale's, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll slowly start to transition Jolly Goat down there later on.
Is it harder? I don't know. For me, like in Edmond, Oklahoma, there's probably a ton of heat and air companies.
Oh yeah,
you could throw a rock and hit one. Literally, we can throw and hit two right across our street from us because we're next to them. In the garage door game, y'all have a lot of one-man shows all over the place, and how do you overcome that? Because right now, for us, it's the customer service, the ability to call. Is it the same for you? Is it just a different rodeo?
So it's very similar. You're right about the one-man shows, right? The biggest thing about the garage door space is different. Even though we're a home service, that's different than HVAC, electrical, plumbing. It's not regulated like it is in other spaces. So we get a lot of people that say, okay, I can do this for 6 months and then go start my own business. 99% of them fail, but they're still out there trying to do business right now. And there's a lot of them, but we don't really compete against those guys. I think that the brand Jolly Goat now, we compete against less of them now, or less now than we did when we were Garage Door Solutions, because the look of Garage Door Solutions kind of was this, it could still be a one-man show. People didn't really know, right? But Jolly Goat, they look at it and they think it's this big national like franchise brand, and people know that, okay, there's quality there.
Yeah.
So we don't really compete in, when we get a phone call, somebody calls Jolly Goat and it's a new customer, let's say, then, we know that there's going to be somebody that's looking for some better service that those small guys can offer.
Right. But that was the scariest part that's in my mind right now is like, we have one guy shows too. It's nothing against them, but some do it that don't have a license, sure. And they have a lot more risk to do because they can blow up a house and no one's held responsible. I mean, yeah, that's a crazy thing. But for you, I mean, those one-man show, I mean, it's just a handyman at this point saying, hey, I can do it. But there's some risks to it. I mean, those springs don't mess around. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of safety involved. There really is. And if you're not properly trained, I mean, I know a guy that's in the business just broke his hand the other day. He's been doing this for almost 40 years. It's just, and it was just a fluke thing that happened. And so that's one thing about, the injuries with people actually working on stuff. But when you think about homeowners and their families and their children and the safety, that's where garage doors are. I mean, it's a huge deal. Safety is the number one factor for us. That's the most important thing for our homeowners. And so, you've got to be able to have the right insurance and have everything in place. And those, obviously, the one-man shows don't. And like you said a second ago, nothing against them. I used to be that guy. Right? I used to be a guy in a truck just a very short 4 years ago. That's why I was. So, but I encourage. I always open up my door to anybody, especially these one-man shows. I'll run into them like at a supply house, or one of my guys runs into them at a supply house. And we'll say, look, man, if you ever need anything, come by the shop. We've had a couple come in the door like, hey, we're here for you. Need anything? There's always opportunity. There's a couple of them I'm trying to steal over to become employees for us, because they've got good, their good skills, their mindset. They want to grow their own little business into something, but they don't know how and don't know how to get there. So try to make as many friends as we can in the industry.
There's so many. I mean, there's tons of garage doors, and it's like us. We say there's no reason to compete. There's so much in Oklahoma that's doing it. New construction, old stuff that you're changing out. It's just, and the ability that you do have that kind of heart is really awesome, because that's how we strive on it. I'm like, I'll help anybody, especially if they're going to do the right thing every time. I mean, why not? I mean, absolutely. It just makes the business better, because if we are on the same ball field, like we're saying the same prices, now it's just who has the best customer service. Right. It's against you or me, whatever. I mean,
it could be a personality thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely. Better with others. But like Joseph, like during COVID, was helped by other, like Mark Doolittle, right, getting supplies, to keep it going. So there's a big thing with collaborating versus like competing.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Do you, like, I don't know any other garage companies out there, but like, do y'all have like big meetings together? Kind of, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Like a big circle, or is it usually like?
We do. Here. Yeah, we've got we got trade shows that we do and all that good stuff. And there's a group out there called the International Door Association, IDA for short, and we actually have a big thing coming up in Vegas in a couple of weeks with them.
Do you need help going? Okay.
I usually need a handler when I'm in Vegas. So,
I know. I'll keep you off the tables.
Right. It's usually Vegas is always rough for me. I always like to go out there for like a day or two, and that's it. But I'm going to be out there for over a week. There's some speaking engagements and other stuff going on out there. Actually doing some participation this time, and so I'll be out there a long time. Wow. So it's going to be a little rough, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, you'll make the best of it.
I sent a friend over to Jeff to take care of his garage door, and they replaced the whole thing. His name was Manuel De Sousa. I don't know if you remember. But anyway, Manny, I call him Manny, but he's the most particular person like ever, and he had nothing but good things to say about you guys. And I was like, dang, if they can make Manny happy, like this is impressive. Like, this is great,
Nice. Well, we strive on that, and hopefully with our process and the way everything's up, we've got thousands. I remember when I was trying to get like 5 or 10 like 5-star reviews, and now we've just got thousands out there, and we get them every day, and it's because of this. It's because of our process and our training.
Is it? And you have Service Sight too, right?
Yep.
I mean, that software alone, it helps tremendously, and that's just the software that you run your business out of. But reality is, we send give me a 5-star review every person we leave from. So it helps tremendously, especially on that Google reviews too.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
Service Titan pretty much runs our lives now.
I know
it's awesome.
You're pot committed with it. It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for a homeowner, I would say, like me, because I do not know anything about garage doors, is there some kind of maintenance or something that can help me before I take that journey to call you, or is there anything like that? Or?
There's always, I like to tell homeowners, the garage door is the largest moving appliance in your home.
I didn't know how heavy it was until one of my springs broke. I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's not
when
going to work.
Happens, it's just that door's just dead weight, and sometimes you're trapped in your garage. And it's one thing like if your AC goes out and you get hot and it's horrible, right? It sucks. But if you feel trapped in your own home where you can't get your car out, people go into panic mode, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of things that could be done to answer your question as far as maintenance goes. Yes, we always recommend annual tune-ups. It's just it's something that's, if we can get in there and just keep everything tuned up and keep it going, then you can go years and years without any issues or any major issues, of course, and getting trapped, that kind of stuff. Keeping things lubricated is something a homeowner can do. We always try to tell them about that. Spray down with a good non-silicone type spray, the rollers and
don't
the hinges.
Don't get like
and
WD-40.
It doesn't really work that well for that. It's great. Listen, I carry a can of that stuff just about everywhere. It's great, but it doesn't work good for garage doors.
That's what I heard. I didn't know.
It evaporates really fast.
Yeah.
Okay. So and over time it just doesn't really help stuff.
What is like an average lifetime expectancy be for a garage door? Let's say they never maintenance it ever. What does that kind of look like? On
the current doors that are being installed, let's say in the past 3 to 5 years, new construction, the cheap new construction doors, you're going to get 3 to 5 years out of them before it's time to do some serious repairs and or just upgrade and replace it.
That sounds about right with my buddy Eric, because I sent Eric and he was like, we built this house and it's already going out, So that was at the 4-year mark, I think.
And that's about right. That's pretty common. Now a door that that we build for the customer, put together their dream door, upgraded parts, all the stuff that we do with it when we jolly goat it. You're looking at a 30, 40-year door, easy.
Heck yeah.
Properly taken care of over the years.
Yeah.
So, we've got spring options now where the spring will never ever break again. We put in these heavy duty commercial springs. That we put lifetime warranties on them, and but
that's a game changer right there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So we offer the packages. You're asking earlier about the show. We offered a package at this last home show for it's free. It's $1,000 to upgrade. Let's say like a standard 2-car garage, and we charge $999 for. If we put in a new door and do a lifetime upgrade, it's $999. We're doing that for free right now, because we know the value of that for that customer is huge. For them to never walk out in their garage and push that button and the door not open is huge, right?
That is huge.
So we're, if it goes well, we might even kind of continue it out a little bit further. So
what does it kind of look like what does a tune-up look like whenever you guys do your maintenance plan?
Yeah, so we go out there. We got what's called a 29-point inspection or tune-up that we go out and do. And it's it's all your moving parts. There's a lot of bearings on garage doors. There's a lot of things you have to take into consideration. The torsion system itself. You've got the cables that run up the side of the garage door. Sometimes those are frayed. We check that. We check all the hinges. Sometimes the hinges get little cracks on them. The rollers, obviously, the tracks. There's 3 different points on the track that we check. All of that, we dive into all that when we do our inspections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it, it's with the software that he has, like you get a picture of where they're going, like who's actually coming to your door. So you see the tech's face, and then on top of that, you get to track that truck going to your house so you know where it's going. So once they finally arrive at your house, you could step outside and be like, hey, don't knock because my kid's asleep, or put the thing on there or whatever. But I bet your guys call before they head out that way anyway.
Right, yeah. As soon as they have a dispatch button they hit, as soon as they hit that, then they also call. And it's just part of their process.
And then you make them park within eye shot of the front door.
That's
too,
correct.
Right?
Either the front door or a major window in the home. Not allowed to park in driveways unless the driveway is like 1/8 of a mile long. Obviously, that's different.
Yeah.
But they have to park in the street and go in the correct direction in the street, and it has to be within shot of the. And when they get out of their truck, part of their arrival inspection form that they fill out is a picture of their truck from the street looking at the front door.
I like that. Add that to the list for us.
Well, I think, what is your process
That's
for
awesome.
whenever they do a service call? It takes about an hour, right?
Approximately, yeah. They don't usually start building estimates for about 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, before they even start presenting anything to the customer at all. Yeah, and for that reason, our guys are out there doing 3, maybe 4 service calls a day. As to where other companies are out there like, man, let's get our guys out there doing 8 or 10, right? They're just blowing through stuff. They're not doing the inspections, not looking at stuff. They're not doing that customer any justice, right? They're just getting in and out and doing the bare minimum.
But that's why you're succeeding. That's why you're building a brand that's going to be known for forever now. That's super, man. It's about the details for sure.
What's the coolest door in your family you've ever put in? What was different about it?
We've done some pretty awesome projects. There was, I'll tell you 2 of them, because one of them is most recent, is Jolly Goat related, and there was a customer just outside of Tulsa that wanted to do. They built this amazing pool house that had multiple doors in it, and the pool was actually a natural pool, so it was an in-ground natural fed pool. So the dirt, like, you get in there and you're standing on stone the whole time. It was really awesome.
That is awesome.
That project was pretty cool. We did some full view glass doors that actually had to go up and around some rafters, so the door go up the wall a little ways. Then it would break back across the ceiling and then break back again. And we had to do some intricate. We had to put our brains to work on that one, and that was a lot of fun. We love custom projects. That one looked really good when it was said and done. It was just, the whole process was really awesome, so I love that one. Probably my favorite of all time is back whenever I was a youngster and I was living in Atlanta and working for a company, and we got a call late at night. There was some emergency situation downtown at one of the big arenas down there. So, and I was on call that night, so we hop in the truck, go down there, and it was there was a show that used to go around called Stomp, and they would do. It started out like this street show, and it turned into this big thing where they would start travel worldwide, and they started out. Then they were like guys beating on buckets and stuff. Well, this show, evolved into bike ramps and skateboarders and all kinds of noise and just all kinds of stuff. Well, they had built this amazing stage. They were getting ready for the show the next night, and this is 2:00 in the morning. They're getting ready for the show that night. And fire marshals came in and said, "You got to tear this whole thing down. You have to have a certain amount of open space in case of an emergency. You can't get all these people out because of the way they had built this stage." So they said, what can we do to kind of shift some of this stuff around? And the guy had an idea. He's like, "Man, can we just take this wall straight up like a garage door?" And I said, "Yeah, let's let me figure out a way to do this." So we sat there for a couple hours, had it all figured out, put it on paper. Next morning, 7:00, I went and picked up everything, went back out there that day, and we put about a 20-foot wide wall by about 20 foot tall. We turned that wall into a garage door, basically.
No
took it straight
way.
up.
Let's go.
It was a pretty amazing project. So if there was emergency, I was guessing on the weight of it, because you talk about the springs. Like, the springs were the counterbalance for the weight of every door.
Right. And
I had to counterbalance weight this thing. I was kind of guessing because I took this 10 square foot area weighs this much because they use this much metal, and I'd take a piece of that metal, put it on a scale. And I gauged that whole thing just by that. And it was the smoothest working up and down. And they were there for 2 nights. I came and broke the thing down for them. Everything went in the trash and moved on to the next deal. But it was a scene of a city. The whole stage was all these cityscapes. And so there was this one area of the city that all of a sudden just raised up. And they ended up using it in the show, so that they were coming in and coming out on bicycles and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It ended up being a pretty cool deal. And they kind of rearranged the show. So that was one of my favorite ones back in the day.
So you would go anywhere.
Well,
for some work.
I lived there at the time,
okay,
so that was one of those things. I lived there at the time doing garage doors. No, right now we're pretty much primarily focused in Oklahoma.
But you've experienced other markets with your travels and
so.
Stuff, right?
When I said earlier the garage door industry has taken me all around the world, it really has. I've traveled all over the country and even in some other places. And it's been pretty amazing. Yeah, it really has. I did. A lot of people think it's a garage door. There's not really anything sexy or fun about that or that lifestyle. I beg to differ. Yeah, it's an amazing lifestyle. Garage doors are one of those things that and I'm kind of a nerd about them, but if everybody's got a passion. Mine just happens to be garage doors. So I've allowed it to be in my life, and I'm proud for that to be in my life, and it's allowed me to do things that I've always wanted to do.
So what kind of employee are you looking for your team? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know workers and stuff like that is something, I mean, not handyman, but are you looking, I mean, it's because it's not just handyman. You have people in the office.
We do. Yeah. And first and foremost, we look for, so we have an employee avatar, right, that we look for. When it comes to our field service people, actually generally everybody, we're looking for a specific age. We're looking for younger people, early mid-20s.
Yeah.
Looking for people that either have just started a family or looking to start a family, just got married, or wanting to get married. And also potential homeowners. If they're not homeowners right now, then are they interested in buying a home pretty soon? Those are kind of 3 or 4 key things that we look for, because we can bring that person in, we can teach them how to do garage doors, and then we can help them be successful at life, right? And start to make all those connections and point them in the right direction. And when we bring on board people, we look for just communication skills, things like that. We don't hire in the industry very often at all. It's got to be a pretty amazing person. Somebody that's good with their hands. Mechanics, HVAC. We've actually had a guy that came over from HVAC.
Hey. HVAC, come to me.
I'm just saying. We had, a mechanic, that worked on cars. And I mean, there's stuff like that. They're good with their hands. Then we know we can train them on the garage door side of things. But they've got to have some goals. They've got to have, the mindset that we're looking for. One of our core values is growth mindset. And that's the very first thing we look for. If we got somebody that is an individual who wants to grow in life, then boom, they're on board, right?
If you don't notice, he is a well-educated CEO, owner of a business.
Nobody's ever called me that before.
They call you coach, right?
Like, they do call me coach, yeah.
I'm just saying, like...
Because I hate the word boss. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
It's hard. It's as an owner or whatever, and you're diving deeper than just a lot of people that own a business. I mean, they're scratching the surface. Like, you've scratched the surface and you really dived into your business, and that's why I think you're going to be very successful. I mean, you're already successful now, so I don't know why I'm saying you're going to be. You're going to be a legend in Oklahoma, I guess you could say.
Well, I don't know about that, but. I'm doing the best I can. This is all stuff that I've been learning in the past 3 years. Yeah. It really is. I mean, before that, like I said earlier, it was just me in a truck.
Yeah.
And we're still a pretty small little micro business, but we're growing, and we know where we're going to be in a few years. Yeah. We know where we're at right now, where we're going to be. But it's all about the people around us, right? It's not about me anymore at all. It's just about the team. Mm-hmm. It's. Getting the right. There's a book out there. I'm going to draw a blank on what it's called, but it's about getting the right people on the bus and the right butts in the seat, right, and the right seats. And that's what I've started doing a couple of years ago, and it has been a complete game changer. Yeah. And hiring around my weaknesses, right. So there's stuff that I either like to do but wasn't good at, or stuff I was good at but didn't like to do, right. And started hiring around that. And
you're gonna write a book.
Always hire people. People keep suggesting that, but yeah.
You're on the path. You're on the path.
We are going to start a podcast. I got my first one on. We start building content next month, so
That's
I'm excited
awesome.
about doing that. That'll be. Everybody's been kind of hounding me for that for a long time.
Yeah.
So we're going to get that going at least.
So what fills you up? What gets you excited? What actually recharges those batteries for you?
So when it comes
besides
to
work,
besides the kids,
I was fixing to say I was just going to go straight to the work side.
Yeah, I know the work is always fills you up.
Okay,
it's always
if it's not work
good.
that's easy, it's my Coconut, my girlfriend. I call her Coconut. She's amazing to me. She's just the most amazing thing in the world.
Like traveling,
we travel,
or just go to the.
She worked the
Arcadia.
home show too.
She came to the home show. Yeah,
Just go to
she works
Arcadia.
for free, so I love that.
That's perfect.
And she actually lives out of state. She lives in Kentucky, so but we still see each other 2 or 3 times a month. And either me going up there or her coming here or whatever the case is, and we'll travel other places and meet each other. She works remotely, but she works a lot and travels a little bit with work. So I'll go up to Vermont for the weekend, and she'll do a long weekend or wherever the case, wherever it is. And so that's pretty much it in my life right now. I mean, I've never had a person in my life like her, and so I'm really enjoying that right now.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mentioned the kids earlier, so they actually do have kids like goats. So
yeah. I don't have any children out there with my last name, but we do have 3 kid goats. Yes, absolutely. So when we rebranded a Jolly Goat, I said, you know what? we're going to have to get a freaking goat. Mm-hmm. And so Coconut actually fell in love with one down at the lake with some of our neighbors. And we agreed on that goat, like, okay, that's going to go, he'll go home with us. And that was Jolly, the goat who we have now. Or you guys met at the home show. Yeah. And, but turns out Jolly was a triplet and he had 2 sisters. So it wasn't just him. We got 3 because we don't really want to separate them.
No,
and so terrible. So we've got.
I don't know much about goats, but so I know Tim knows about all kinds of things. I'm just thankful
that they got Nigerian dwarfs. Yeah, thank God, because the other ones, man. Those things, I don't know. I've raised multiple.
Fainting goats. You don't want a fainting goat.
No, I've raised Nubians. Like I've raised the boar ones. Like you're
making everybody fall asleep.
They can be rough. They can be mean. They can be irritating. So we weathered Jolly, which means castrated to those folks that don't understand that part, but which was a fun process. I got a great story about that. So he's pretty calm, he's pretty chill, and the girls they're just, they make the best pets ever. Mm-hmm. Like seriously, like I've always been a dog person. Mm-hmm. I will forever now be a goat dad with these things. They are just
really
we cuddle up together, we'll slap on the couch, we'll watch a movie,
the Nigerians
get on the floor.
Great.
Do they go to the bathroom? Like
they do, but it's like little looks like Cocoa Puffs. It's like little Cocoa Puffs.
But so they'll pee like in your house?
They will pee, but it's easy. First of all, it's easy to clean up. Second of all,
I was like, wait a minute.
They can be potty trained, and they tend to go in the same place all the time.
Gotcha.
So where they start going, you just start to make that like a bedding situation and put some straw there and put some absorbent stuff there, and they tend to go in the same place all the time.
Didn't know this. This has blown my mind.
So the other part I didn't like about raising goats was having to deal with the worm issues, and probably for you since you're in town and stuff, it's a little different. But for me, I had to fight the whole deworming process of these goats, and that was like the most pigs were easier to raise than goats for me.
Yeah, I
believe there's a whole nother animal for Tim.
Do a farm podcast.
We're gonna go down this alley.
I have a lot of experience with different kind of animals.
Right.
But I Jeff, I think you are an amazing entrepreneur. I do really appreciate you coming out. Absolutely. I wish you the best lucks, and at the end of the day, I'm loving life, and thank you again.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me in and chatting about stuff. I love talking about this stuff. Yeah. So when I get my podcast going, I'm going to have you guys on.
Sounds like a good plan. Let's go.
We'll be at the Goat's Nut Bar.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go. So I'll share more of that after the podcast.
All right.
There we go.
I love it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.